I love Whoopi and Joe. Those are the two I really know. And I did it like a year ago, and I liked everybody, but like, I don't know if they're really, at this moment, the best advertisement for women. I just, they just, it's
a format, that show.
They say some things that are just like not helpful, like, say, to elections.
Bill Maher just lit a fire under The View, and he didn't hold back. On his podcast, the HBO star admitted he loves Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, but then dropped the bomb. He thinks the show isn't exactly the strongest reflection of women on television. From his explosive clash with Sunny Hostin over Israel to tearing apart Whoopi's comments on oppression, Maher is taking on one of TV's most powerful tables. So, is he speaking hard truths or just stirring controversy? Let's dive in.
I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli... Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Israel 5 times, they've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community, and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking Israel.
On his Club Random podcast with Drew Barrymore, Bill Maher took a surprising turn. While praising Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar as friends, he bluntly declared that The View is a lot, and in his words, not the best advertisement for women. That one remark instantly stood out. For a show that promotes itself as the voice of women in media, Maher's criticism hit hard. He wasn't attacking the hosts personally. He was questioning whether the show's tone, arguments, and constant bickering truly represent women in the way it claims to. Coming from Maher, known for cutting through political correctness, it was a statement designed to spark debate.
Some of the ladies on The View, and I love them, but like, I would do, like, that shows a lot. And I think I'd rather...
Joy came on our show, and
I love Joy. And I did it like a year ago, and I liked everybody, but like, I don't know if they're really, at this moment, the best advertisement for women. They just... it's
a format, that show.
They say some things that are just like not helpful, like, say, to elections. I mean, it's just, you know...
What is it like being... Because I know so much about the news, politics, and I'm very obsessed with it.
You have a new mayor. That's very exciting in New York.
Maher didn't stop at one line. He doubled down. He explained that while he respects the women personally, the energy of The View is overwhelming. That shows a lot, he said, pointing to the constant interruptions, the fiery back and forth, and the way the table often turns into a shouting match. And he's not alone. Viewers have long described The View as chaotic, entertaining, but exhausting. For Maher, the problem goes deeper. He suggested the show's loud format doesn't help women's voices. It drowns them out. Instead of elevating real debate, he argued, it often reduces politics to sound bites and talking points. In his words, that's not the best image to put forward, especially in an election year. Maher's blunt critique of The View wasn't just pulled out of thin air, it came from personal experience at that famous table. In May 2024, he joined the show as a guest, and what unfolded was one of the most heated daytime TV moments of the year. Sitting across from Sunny Hostin, the conversation turned to the Israel-Palestine war, a subject already dividing households, headlines, and political parties across America. Hostin accused Israel of killing innocent civilians. Maher didn't flinch. He pushed back immediately, saying the world can't ignore Hamas and its role in sparking violence. His response was sharp. That's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking Israel. The words cut through the studio chatter like a blade, and the audience reaction said it all. Some clapped, others groaned. What made the clash unforgettable was how it exposed The View's signature style. 5 voices shouting at once, interruptions flying, and Maher refusing to back down. Supporters online praised him for standing firm against what they saw as an unfair narrative. Critics, however, accused him of oversimplifying a humanitarian crisis. Either way, the segment trended for days, proving Maher's point. The table may grab attention, but it doesn't always create real understanding.
Are you at all concerned about the innocent civilians that have been collectively punished and murdered, largely children and women? And are you at all concerned about the fact that the International Criminal Court just today issued a subpoena for Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, that's ridiculous, but it's a war.
Why?
It's a war. Because it's a war, and they were attacked, and they're defending themselves. Now, this is a war. Do you think Hamas needs to be destroyed? This is the question.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So how can we do that with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means, okay? And they say it very openly. They said, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back.
If Maher's clash with Sunny Hostin showed how chaotic The View can be, his response to Whoopi Goldberg's comments revealed just how far he's willing to push back on what he calls stupid woke. On a July episode of his podcast, Maher revisited a remark Whoopi made that left him stunned. She had argued that black people in America are as oppressed as women living in Iran. For Maher, it wasn't just a bad take, it was dangerous exaggeration. Love her, he said, but that's not true. Maybe in 1920, but not today. Maher's frustration was clear. In his eyes, comparing modern America to Iran not only distorts reality, but also weakens the credibility of real conversations about racism and women's rights. He argued that the far left often undermines its own causes by stretching comparisons so far that they lose all meaning. The fallout was immediate. Supporters of Whoopi accused Maher of minimizing systemic racism. Maher's fans, on the other hand, applauded him for saying what others were afraid to, that some narratives coming out of The View are less about empowering people and more about fueling outrage. This wasn't just another debate, it was Maher drawing a line in the sand. He was essentially saying, if you want people to take inequality seriously, don't compare America to regimes built on brutality. It was the kind of blunt, no-filter commentary that has defined his career, and once again, it put The View under a harsh spotlight.
What'd you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I say we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity, and a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View. I really believe that. I mean, could you just
it's huge in Iran, though.
For Maher, this isn't just about a few comments from Whoopi or a fiery clash with Sunny Hostin. His criticism is about The View as a whole and the role it plays in shaping conversations across America. Maher argued that the show, instead of elevating women's voices, often reduces them to political sound bites. The constant shouting, the interruptions, the rehearsed talking points, it all makes for good television, but not necessarily good conversation. And for a platform that prides itself on representing women in media, he suggested it sometimes does the opposite, amplifying division rather than clarity. He even went further, saying the show's rhetoric can hurt Democrats during elections. By leaning too far into outrage or exaggerated claims, Maher believes The View ends up turning off the very swing voters Democrats desperately need. In his words, some of the things said at that table are just not helpful to elections. That's a harsh judgment for a program that has been marketed for years as both entertainment and influence. But Maher's critique hits on a larger question. Is The View really empowering women and advancing political discourse, or has it become a stage where drama overshadows substance? To Maher, the answer is clear. The View may dominate daytime ratings, but when it comes to helping women or Democrats win in the real world, the show is falling short. What makes this moment even more interesting is how it started, with Drew Barrymore. During their podcast chat, she casually invited Maher onto her own daytime show and mentioned Joy Behar had recently been her guest. That's when Maher unloaded his unfiltered thoughts on The View. In a way, Barrymore became the spark. Her lighter, friendlier style of daytime TV stood in sharp contrast to the high drama format of The View, giving Maher the perfect opening to explain why he thinks the show has lost its way. Maher's critique of The View isn't just about one show, it's about the bigger picture. In his view, daytime television has become more about performance than perspective. When political debates turn into shouting matches, the audience may be entertained, but the substance gets lost. And with millions watching daily, the stakes are high. Maher warned that exaggerated narratives or poorly framed arguments don't just hurt credibility, they can influence elections. To him, The View is a prime example of how media that aims to empower can sometimes backfire, creating more heat than light. For Maher, the challenge isn't about silencing voices, it's about raising the quality of the conversation. And in his eyes, The View has a long way to go. So here's the big question. Did Bill Maher cross the line, or did he simply say what many viewers have been thinking for years? His comments about The View, from the fiery clash with Sunny Hostin to calling Whoopi's Iran comparison stupid woke, cut deep into the image of a show that claims to represent women's voices at the table. What Maher did was put a spotlight on something bigger, the way media shapes politics. When talk shows trade nuance for noise and debates turn into sound bites, the audience is left with more heat than light. Maher argues that this doesn't just make for messy TV, it could actually hurt Democrats at the ballot box. But at the same time, The View remains one of the most watched daytime shows in America. Millions still tune in, still debate, and still take sides. And maybe that's exactly why Maher's criticism hits so hard. Because like it or not, the show still matters. Now it's your turn. Do you think Bill Maher is right about The View? Or is this just another example of him stirring the pot for attention? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more bold takes on the stories shaping media and politics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.